Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
What is up, breadheads? It's your boy Mike Holland at MC Holland34 over on X, bringing you the latest from a crazy transfer portal season in which we've seen some of the top players already off the board. So we got a jam-packed show tonight. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. We're also excited to be heading down to San Antonio for the Final Four this weekend. So looking forward to that. Just finalizing some plans, trying to find a meetup spot. Some of the breadheads, if you want to join, we'll throw some of that information out here shortly. But we'd love to see you guys, chat with you, and talk some college hoops. So looking forward to that, and also looking forward to the games. Obviously, it's been a long season, but the transfer portal seems to be an even longer stretch. Although the window has shrunk from 45 days down to 30, so we're seeing a lot more players dive in, a lot more action early on than we're used to seeing, especially since grad transfers cannot jump in at any point now. So jumping back to DraftKings, it's been kind of slow. NIT stuff's been going on. I've been kind of laying low on that aspect. But we do have the one and done invitational, a $5 entry for the Final Four, the last, I guess, slate, you could call it, the 2-game slate there starting at 6:09 Eastern. We will drop a link down in the chat. Please make sure you sign up for that. We'd love to play against the Breadheads. I think we've had probably 10 tournaments or so. It's been a lot of fun. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons for us. Throw some comments in the chat. What are your thoughts on the transfer portal so far? What are your teams doing? Are you excited about the additions that they made? Kentucky fans, are you a little nervous about what's been going on? Just give us your thoughts in the chat, and we'd love to hear from you, even if it's after the show. So having said that, we'll try to get in here about 30-40 minutes or so. We're going to take a look at some team spotlights, and we really can't start with any program outside of Louisville right now because the steam that they have going on with their transfer portal additions is pretty crazy. They picked up 3 of the top guards in the portal, 3 guys that I have ranked inside the top 30 of our big board. We sent out a big board on, I believe it was Tuesday, that featured the first 100 players. We're looking to release another one maybe by end of week with the top 200 players in the portal. So the stuff that Louisville's been doing is pretty impressive. Pat Kelsey obviously coming off the great year, not the finish that you wanted to see, but ran into a really hot Creighton squad. So looking forward and sky high expectations going into next year. So what you're looking at with this squad, you've got Ryan Conwell, the Xavier guard coming over. You've got Adrian Woolley, who had a really nice freshman season for Kennesaw State. And you have Isaac McNeely, the guard from Virginia. So those 3 right there, a very formidable trio. What's impressive about these guys is they all shot over 40% from 3, which is really incredible for Kelsey's system because they like to get up and down. They like to fire up a bunch of threes. They were 20th in the country in 3-point rate last year, but sub 200 in percentage made. So looking at the, kind of the profile of how these guys fit, I think it's going to be an excellent fit. All these guys have really good size. Woolley being 6'5", more of a combo guy, probably has the biggest upside, NBA ceiling for him. Conwell, we've watched him over the last couple of years with St. Louis and Xavier. Just strong with the basketball, can take you to the rim, can also make contested shots. He also has really crazy range off dribble handoffs. And then McNeely, man, super consistent for a Virginia program that struggled to find offense. He was in the 97th percentile in catch and shoot, which that's going to be big time in this offense. So he's also really good on inbound sets. So yeah, these 3, Louisville fans have to be really excited as Cam jumps into the chat here. What's up, Cam? Saying UNC needs to land Vasar and Lowe. That's his wish list right there. So appreciate the comment, Cam. Hopefully be seeing you here in a couple of days down in San Antonio. But overall, you have to say right now that the lead in the clubhouse for transfer portal winner right now is Louisville. All right, we'll flip it over here to the next team we're going to profile, and we talked a little bit about a commitment from them the other day when we did the Final Four portal show. But we have Michigan landing a really, really solid big man to go with their new point guard in Elliot Cadeau. So Morris Johnson, it's kind of surprising he jumped in the portal from Illinois. He's got supreme athleticism. I think these two guys are going to mesh really well together. We talked a little bit about Cadeau the other night. We figured Trey Donaldson would hit the portal once he committed, and sure enough, I think the next day after we talked about it, Trey Donaldson was in the portal. And we mentioned, the crazy thing about Cadeau is that he's just really young. He should technically be going into his sophomore year, so he reclassified. It feels like he's been in college forever already, but still young in age. He's a premier passer, even though he's turnover prone. He needs to keep continuing to improve his shot. And I think Cam, would probably agree here. The one thing that he didn't have last year was a player like a Morris Johnson, somebody that is a really, really good finisher at the rim, a big with really good athleticism that can, rim run. Johnson converted nearly 70% of his shots around the rim. These two are going to be a headache in pick and roll situations, especially if Cadeau continues to improve his outside shot. We also know Johnson's an elite rebounder, a top 10 in offensive rebounding rate on the season. And we know Coach May, he knows how to use his bigs. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the rest of this Michigan roster. I thought it was kind of interesting that turnovers were a huge problem for Michigan, and yet they go in and land a point guard that has been turnover prone. So we'll see what happens with that. Babu jumping in, saying, "Oh yeah, Brown Jr. 3-point contest at McDonald's game. Louisville's going to be raining threes." Yeah, it's going to be absolutely raining threes for Louisville, Babu. I believe you're a Louisville supporter, man. So I'm sure you're excited. Let me know on some of your thoughts about the other three guards that are coming in that we just talked about. So you guys will have to excuse me. It's been allergy season for me. So take a quick swig here of some body armor. I'm meted up, and we'll dive on over to this Miami squad here. So make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. We're trying to get to 1,500 by the end of the season. I think that's about 40 or more subs. So anybody that take their phone, click the buttons, help us out. All right. So with Coach Lucas here, getting the job at Miami, he's having to start fresh. I mean, that's where Trey Donaldson ended up today, which is pretty interesting. I think this is a solid pickup. We know Miami was, didn't have a lot of talent last year. With Donaldson, he's kind of a stabilizing force for that backcourt. Nigel Pack, obviously, the injury and everything, sitting out the rest of the year. That didn't help, but Donaldson's an immediate upgrade off of anything that they had last year. They also picked up Malik Renew. He's a former 5-star. I think Renew gets a lot of heat for kind of his career at Indiana, and I think a lot of that had to do with fit. I mean, typically he does his damage from the low block. It is really tough when you don't put a floor spacing big next to him, because 73% of his attempts come at the rim, and that's where he's successful. He converted 66% around the rim. He needs to be surrounded by shooting to open up the floor. He's not a guy that can catch and shoot. He's got to improve in that area. Trey Donaldson is a guy that can shoot. I'd love to see them in some pick and roll action. The knock on Donaldson all year was that, he does turn the ball over, which we just mentioned with that Michigan squad, and he does struggle with efficiency against tier A opponents. So still, he's a really nice offensive weapon, a big, strong guard that can drive and make threes. So that's, like I said, an upgrade for anything that Miami has had last year, essentially, even though they had some young pieces that were definitely interesting. So that'll wrap up Miami here. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Let's nobody in the chat yet. Let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. Appreciate you joining us for this portal show. Breaking down some teams. We'll break down some players that have just recently entered. We'll break down some teams that don't have multiple commits that were really exciting commitments for teams. So we're going to be talking portal, coaches, coaching changes, offseason stuff all year long. So make sure you lock in and check out everything that we are doing. So the next team that we are going to highlight here is going to be Baylor. And we like to joke around that it's my Baylor Bears. Obviously, I'm a big Texas supporter. So, but what, Coach Drew has done has been pretty spectacular. Michael Ratai, the big man, we mentioned him a little bit. We kind of broke down his game the other day. One of the better players in the WCC last year. Kind of reminds me of Michael Mayer as far as fit. Something that Baylor really didn't have was that elite stretch four. So he's got to stop taking tough contested shots, but I think in this offense he won't have to do that as much. The guy that is going to be surprising, I think, to a lot of people is Obi Agbem, the guard. He's a former JUCO D2 player, really shined in the Mountain West, excels in scoring off the bounce, has some elite athleticism, really takes care of the basketball. What you like is that the production was still there against the toughest competition. So, one of the things we like to look at is Tier A competition. He played really, really well here. So, I think he's going to be a really, really underrated player for them. J.J. White, he excels at the rim. Coming over from Omaha creates a lot of pressure because he's an elite outside shooter. The question is going to be, can he take that jump in competition? Didn't play well against St. John's and Iowa State, committed 10 turnovers. But I do like what Baylor is doing here. So we'll take a quick break before we hit this South Carolina squad. All right, squad. Appreciate that. I had to take a little bit of a break there and take a little swig of some water. Got the cough drops rolling. Cam jumping in saying Dick's back to Iowa's picking up steam. Sounds like the Hawks or Indiana. That starts in Dick's backcourt would be pretty solid. So obviously anybody that Ben McCollum gets is going to be a solid player. All right. So we will jump over here to South Carolina, who I think has done a pretty impressive job based on kind of what they needed from last year. Last year they just didn't have any wing play. Everything was kind of going through Jamari Thomas. CMB had to do everything down low. There really wasn't anything that you could trust. Now they're taking some risk here. We talked about Trayson Eaglestaff. He's coming over from North Dakota. He's a bucket getter. It's kind of one of those things where like his profile, like you kind of dive into it, and a lot of this, the metrics and everything, they don't always line up for a guy like this having success at the power 4-5 level, because he's not a guy that really gets to the rim. He's an outside shooter, and he's not really an above average defender. So we don't see these guys often kind of take that next step. But the thing you do like is we've seen this guy go nuclear on some top competition. I think he had 40 against Alabama. So I think this is an excellent gamble for South Carolina here. He's a volume scorer. Whether that's 20 to 25 minutes as like a microwave role. There weren't any options that they could go to last year. And he also has size. That's the thing that they've kind of addressed in this in the backcourt, especially with these wings they're bringing in, is they're going to have size. So I do like the gamble with Eaglestaff here. We'll see if he can get it going at the SEC level. Michi Johnson, bouncing back and forth between Ohio State and South Carolina. Kind of a crazy story, but, good for him for going back to a system that really fits. To say that he struggled in the 10 games last year with Ohio State, that might be an understatement. He had the ball in his hands a lot less last year, and he was a turnover machine, which is not a great combination. I know he really didn't get to the line, and he did a lot of damage with South Carolina getting to the line. So I think we see him kind of get back to that form that we saw, and I think the transition is going to be pretty seamless here. Kobe Knox here, highly effective. Excuse me, guys. Highly effective, versatile wing on both ends of the floor. He excels at attacking the rim, but he can shoot it a bit. So I really like him coming in from South Florida. And what you like is you don't really have to involve him in the offense like you do in Eaglestaff or Johnson for him to be effective. So, with the size here with these guys, Eaglestaff 6'6", Michi Johnson, 6'3", 6'4", Kobe Knox here 6'5". I think they've done a really, really good job getting bigger in the backcourt, not just for the defensive end, but also some guys that can make things happen offensively. So, like what Lamont Paris is doing here, hoping for a bounce back, kind of like a la Dennis Gates, where, excuse me, a phenomenal freshman season, phenomenal first year at Missouri, kind of fell off the map the second year, hoping that something similar happens to South Carolina here. So make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button, as Cam is saying, the Marfo Michi. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to go to ping pong back and forth from different schools every single year. But that pretty much exemplifies what the transfer portal is in this day and age. So, yeah, thanks for jumping in the chat. Thanks to you guys for sticking along with me as I battled through some allergies here, but we definitely wanted to get you guys some portal news. Before we talk about some guys that have entered, we got to talk about some of the teams that have picked up some significant impacts here. So we'll talk about a 10-pack of commits. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe buttons. Make sure if you haven't checked out our partners over at Bracket Bids, we're down to the Final Four, but that was a great experience. You guys should definitely check that out. It was a lot of fun, some auction draft style. Use the promo code BREAD over there. And just go ahead and get signed up now, so that way you don't have to worry about it next year. That was a lot of fun, so appreciate Ryan and those guys over at Bracket Bids. Make sure you jump in our one and done or the MC Holland Invitational for the Final Four, the final 2-game slate of the year, and probably the final one and done invitational for the year. So you guys dive into that, $5. Just want to get the juices flowing, some competitive nature between some friends here. So looking forward to that as well. All right. So we're going to run through a 10-pack of commitments here. We'll start with the first 5, and ranking on my big board right now as of this past couple of days here, I've got Tucker DeVries at number 5. He's the wing from West Virginia, 6'7", 240. He's going to follow Dad, right? That's like the worst kept secret ever. Darren DeVries obviously getting the Indiana job. When you look at DeVries, man, like obviously been in school for a long time. So if you haven't seen him play, you're missing out on like a big, strong wing forward with an elite offensive skill set. Also a really good playmaker. The thing that kind of surprised me is not really a liability defensively. To me, like his experience factor, because Indiana is starting with an absolute clean slate. I think that's going to be huge, kind of similar to what we saw. We didn't expect a lot from West Virginia last year, but, Coach DeVries was able to get a Javon Small, Amani Hansberry, and some guys in to go around Tucker, and they honestly should have made the tournament. So I think Coach is gonna figure out how to get it done for sure. So looking forward to see Tucker wearing the old red and white there. All right. Next guy has that Longhorn logo next to him. I thought it was a significant ad, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the hire of Sean Miller. But, I think he's going to do okay. At Texas, you got Dalen Swain. He's 6'8", 220. Averaged 11 points, 5.5 boards, 2.5 assists, and 1.5 steals per game in his sophomore year. Really long, athletic kid. He has NBA upside. Really progressed last year. Still a little raw offensively, but he should continue to develop. He has some elite defensive traits that are really going to translate from the Big East over to the SEC. He's going to be one of the highest upside transfers if he's able to put together more of an offensive game. So like that, Miller's obviously bringing Swain with him. I think he's going to be definitely an X factor for this Texas squad going into Miller's first year in Austin. Next guy on the list here we have is Keyshawn Hall, the wing from UCF or forward. He's 6'7", 235. The rich get richer. Auburn's playing in the Final Four this weekend. They get a big commitment from one of the top players in the portal, number 12 on our big board here. Hall been bouncing around. George Mason a couple of years ago, UCF last year. Will play at Auburn next year. A big, strong kid. He can play inside, outside, a very underrated passer. Really his strongest attribute, though, is his shot-making ability, being able to create, not necessarily for others, but to get his shot off. So Auburn doesn't really have this year a guy with his size. I know Chad Baker-Mazar is 6'5", 6'6", but this guy is 6'7", 235. He is a rock. So definitely love his skill set. That's if you're going to lose some guys with Auburn, right? You definitely want to see this type of talent enter in. All right. So that's Keyshawn Hall here. A couple more on this first screen. We got Silas DeMary, who actually made his commitment today. He's headed to UConn. He's the Georgia guard, 6'5", 195. Awesome sophomore year with Georgia, 13.5 points, nearly 4 boards, 3 assists, almost 2 steals per game. So to me, this was kind of the one area that was kind of glaring for UConn this year was their size at the one. They're coming off Tristan Newton, who's a bigger guard. Diarra's, having to play this point guard role. I definitely like him more as a sixth man guy that can come off the bench and give you some guard minutes. So I think this is going to play really nicely having DeMary take over. And I don't necessarily think that DeMary is going to be the primary one. Him and Solo Ball, I think are kind of going to split the duties here. but his versatility on both ends is going to pay immediate dividends for UConn. UConn defensively was really, really down last year. They could not get stops. Well, Evan Maya has Silas as the number 1 3-and-D wing on his big board. So I have him number 13 as the number 13 overall player in the transfer portal. But he has a chance to be top 10 type impact. So I'm looking forward to Demary here. Nick Davidson, there's some talk maybe Texas was involved. He's the 6'10", Nevada big. He committed to Clemson here. Played 33 games in a tough Mountain West, almost 16 points per game, 6.5 boards, shot 37% from three. And Darren was talking the other day on social saying that I guess Brunel has a type, and definitely has a type. Big, strong kid that can step out and hit threes. We saw Shefflin and Locken thrive in the system. But what you like about Davidson, this is a very strong Mountain West for the last couple of years, and he was able to produce. So I don't really see him having a problem transitioning over from the Mountain West over to the ACC. I think it's going to be kind of a lateral move for him. We'll see how that kind of works out for him, but I think that's a great pickup for Clemson. All right, so that'll nail down the first 5 commitments. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know in the chat if you have any questions. Trying to power through this thing. Obviously, you got the old allergies working, but the meds are pumping. They're kicked in right now. Make sure you join the One and Done Invitational. Make sure if you're coming into San Antonio, come see us. We'd love to hang out for sure. We'll be down there for the Final Four. So we will we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll talk about these final 5 commitments to teams, and then we'll dive into 5 guys that are jumping into the portal that were recent additions. So we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Final 5 commits we want to highlight as individual commits to the programs here. We're going to jump down to number 37 on our big board. That's going to be Pop Isaacs, the guard from Creighton, 6'2", 180, committed to Ole Miss, and old Chris Beard there. Pop had the hip injury that ended his season last year, but he was playing great in those first 8 games. 16 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 38% from 3, which was kind of the knock on him last year when he entered the portal was that, could he improve his outside shooting? Well, if he's going to shoot 35+%, you're getting a really good player because he's a kid that is really, really tough, super competitive. Ole Miss kind of has, I don't want to say the similar type of offense to Creighton, but they have a similar system that really features guards. We saw that with pretty much Ole Miss going with 3 guards and a wing for most of the time here. So we got Pop Isaacs here going to Ole Miss. Cam Williams, the wing from Tulane. There's the Kentucky commit there, 6'8", 190, averaged 9 points, 4 boards, a steal and a half, a block, 41% from 3. Numbers might be a little underwhelming, but when you look at it, he's a young player, really good size. It's kind of been a quiet season, transfer portal season so far for Kentucky. Doesn't mean that they didn't get a good player here. He's a premier catch and shoot guy, really cause problems on the defensive end with his length, which is something that Kentucky really needs. So he's just going to continue to get better. Mo Odom, I'm down here at 47, which might be a little bit high, but just watching him in the WCC tournament, he's from Pepperdine. He committed to Arizona State. 13 points, 7.5 assists, 38% from 3. So it's kind of been a collapse for ASU with seemingly everyone out the door. I do need to update. It looks like Jaden Quaintance is going to be in the portal, so he's going to be a top 3 player in the portal. We'll get that update to you probably here in the next couple of days when we release our top 200 big board. But I do like this get with Odom for Arizona State. Number 1 assist rate in the country. If you get the right pieces around this guy, defenses are going to have some major problems. So we'll see what else Arizona State can do in the portal here to put next to him. We'll talk about Bama, another SEC squad. Number 67 on the big board, Noah Williamson, the center from Bucknell, Patriot League Player of the Year. 30 minutes a game last year, 17.5 points, 7.5 boards, over a block a game, over 30% from 3. Kind of an interesting move from Bama because we're used to seeing them get these athletic 5s like Nelson, Bediako, Maury. Williams is a down low, but he's not the athlete that these guys are. But he can stretch the floor a little bit. So the question is going to be, how's this transition from Bucknell? I don't know that you need him to start. We're seeing it's kind of, roll out this like 22, 18-minute split between his fives from, the last couple of years. So 20 minutes from him, if you can get the offense rolling, definitely going to be a quality piece. But his transition is going to be a key factor if he's able to kind of handle the rigor of the SEC here. And the last guy here, talk about that committed, was Blake Buchanan, the center from Virginia, 6'11", 225. He committed to Iowa State. I think this is an awesome fit for Iowa State. We kind of saw what Jackson did with them last year. We saw Jefferson. I think Blake Buchanan's got a similar skill set to Jackson with a little more upside. So, that Virginia offense not serving up huge numbers or anything like that. But, in the limited minutes that we saw from Buchanan, he's definitely got some upside to him. So I think Iowa State did a really good job getting a tough, bruiser down low. That's just continuing to get better here. So Blake Buchanan will round out our commitments. As for individual schools here. So we got one final segment. We're trending, 26 minutes? Not bad. Rob Michaels jumping in here. Much love, man. You've been on fire all tournament. I appreciate that, Rob. Hey, Rob, if you're not over on our YouTube, man, we'd appreciate it. Hit the like and subscribe buttons, man. Will really help us out as we continue to try to give more and more content, covering everything from DFS to transfer portal to coaching changes, coaching interviews, just fit everything this offseason. We'll have some guests on this year. It's going to be an exciting offseason for us. Michael Peterson saying, "Oh man, he had surgery today. Hope you're doing right. All right, man. Sorry to hear about the surgery, but hopefully that surgery is going to get you back on your feet and feeling good, man." So I'm battling some major allergies right now, but the portal is moving so quick that I figured we had to jump on here and get you guys some content. So excuse the few coughing sessions there and some of the breaks, but we've powered through. I think we're going to finish out just fine on these last 5 guys here on the recent entrants. We'll move over to that. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. Make sure you check out bracketbids.com or the Bracket Bids app and jump in that Final Four one and done invitational for sure. So 5 recent entrants. I don't want to say I was shocked because, Adi Mara jumping in the portal. I was more shocked at the name because, man, this guy is, he's a per minute stud. 7'3", 240. I don't know why UCLA didn't play him 25 minutes a game. Played 13 minutes, and his rates are crazy. Over 6 points, 4 boards, over a block and a half in just 13 minutes. So elite rates, elite shot blocker, can dominate the glass, really good awareness. He's a good passer. He needs minutes to continue to get better, which, if he finds the right fit, man, this guy in 25 minutes is going to be putting up some crazy numbers. So his upside is going to be absolutely through the roof. So looking forward to see where he lands. Jalen Lowe, Cam was talking about a little bit earlier, the guard from Pittsburgh, 6'3", 175. Average 17 points, 5.5 assists, nearly 2 steals per game. He's a high-usage playmaker, really good size. He didn't shoot it well from 3 last year, but as a freshman, he shot it at 35%. So, if he'd shot it a little bit better, I think the NBA would have come calling. He's nearly a 90% free throw shooter. So I think it's more of a case of just not having a great season shooting the ball. I think there's some positive regression coming there. But somebody that's got a ton of experience for his first 2 years in college, a really, really talented floor general. Henry Vasar, next year on the list from Arizona, 7', 220. Kind of a similar makeup to Mara, where his rates are awesome, per minute monster. When he's out there, the problem, he fouls a lot. So, if you really want to stay the ceiling as a player, I know he played 20 minutes last year. He put up some big numbers in some games last year. He's going to have to stop fouling. If he gets up to the 28, 30-minute mark, he's going to be an all-conference type player. High efficiency, big, solid defensive prowess. So I'm looking forward to his development. He's kind of one of those classic Arizona guards that continues to get better by their junior and senior year. Unfortunately for Arizona, he's not going to be there to finish up that ceiling. So we'll see where he ends up. Number 40 on our big board, Malik Ewan, the center from Florida State. Yes, that Malik Ewan of DFS lore. Big front court player, 6'11", 230, average 14 and nearly 8 boards. Really struggled to find consistency. Florida State and Miami were pretty much a mess in the ACC, especially with Florida State's rotations. But when you watch him, it's not just the scoring and the rebounding. He's really an awesome guy around the rim. So you find somebody to pick and roll, a really good point guard to go with him, he's going to be a nightmare. But the passing really stands out. The assist numbers weren't there, but he's a really, really good passer. So I think somebody's going to get a very, very underrated, talented player, even though we have the number 40 on the big board. not being talked about as much as some of the other bigs in this portal class. Last guy on the list, Kyan Evans from Colorado State, the 6'2 guard. 28 minutes a game. I thought he did fantastic replacing Isaiah Stevens, who was everything for Colorado State last year. And he's a big reason. Obviously, Nick Clifford went all world this year, but we kind of expected him to have a big year. So Kyan Evans coming in and having an awesome year, 45% from 3 assists per game. He's got to cut down the turnovers. He slashed 48, 43, 85. And that was on really conservative usage. So if he's able to cut down on the turnovers, I think he's going to be an awesome get for somebody, especially if he just continues to develop his game, finds that consistency as he moves forward. So Mara, Lowe, Vasar, Ewan, Evans, guys to watch as we unwind the portal down here. Check the comments real quick. That's hilarious. Yeah, kind of a weird deal. I don't know, man. I'm not sure why you're not playing Adi Mara big minutes. Peanut Butter Posse saying he looked terrible. Well, the production kind of stands out. Darren, what's up, Redheads? Lots of bigs on the list. They still play bigs in college. Yeah, that's like the only place bigs live. Like the traditional back to the basket bigs only live in college. They don't live in the NBA anymore, which is why they all stay 4 or 5 years, like Hunter Dickinson. Even though he can shoot it a little bit, but your traditional bigs definitely have a big role in college. Cam can probably testify that with Armando Baycott. So. Cool. Well, man, we got out of here in 31 minutes or so. So shout out to the conductor taking a couple of days off as we get ready for the Final Four trip down to San Antonio. Appreciate Eric the Blue doing the 1s and 2s, getting me some breaks in the middle of this production so I could, get some of this coughing out and, get some of the sweat out. But this is a great show. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle. He is doing anything and everything, posting on Twitter. He is helping me with the transfer big board. Like I think we've got 250 guys on our board right now that we've really looked into. Our top 200 on drroto.com should be coming out here in the next couple of days. So looking forward to that. I think we might see a change at number 1, Axel Lindyborg and Donovan Dent. I really love Dent's rim pressuring game and just what he's been able to do in his consistency. But Lindyborg is just such a monster. So we'll see if I go with everybody else and put Lindyborg as the number 1 player. But looking forward to that action. And CC Hustle for helping me out on that. So we're going to obviously drop some info as to where we'll be in San Antonio on Saturday. Looking forward to the Final Four. Please jump into the One and Done Invitational. It is the 2-game slate starting at 6:09 Eastern time. Plenty of spots to dive in there. Probably the last DFS contest we'll run this year. And yeah, just looking forward to everything we're going to do this offseason. Even though the season's coming to an end, we don't really stop with production. Hoping to get a bunch of coaches on, some outlook into next year, and we'll do it all. So appreciate everybody, love and support, the time that you've given us this year. Head on over, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Help us get to 1,500. Grab somebody's phone, just hit the subscribe button. They'll never know. So looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys. And one final thing. Let's get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.